Back inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo, getting set for Kansas at Arizona. You can hear that game right here on Big 12 Radio tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Can watch it on ESPN, and nobody knows Arizona better than Justin Spears. Writes for the Tucson Star, co-host of Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson. Hey, Justin, what's up?
What's up, guys? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, same to you. Hey, what's the latest on Koa Pete? I understand he went through warm-ups a little bit against Baylor. Is he expected to play tomorrow or no?
So I would probably say that it's a good sign that he is going to play against Kansas, albeit nothing is really confirmed right now. But I think it is a good sign that he is practicing. So Koa Pete and Dwayne Aristode, the other freshman forward who's been a part of the rotation this year, he's been out the last few games with an illness. So Koa Pete with an ankle injury or lower leg, and then Dwayne Aristode with an illness. Both of those guys practiced this week, which is the first time they practiced in a little bit. So, and then Koa Pete, before their most recent game against Baylor, went through pregame warmups and all of that. So I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, it's a guarantee that Koa Pete will play on Saturday, but it certainly looks good for the Arizona Wildcats.
And, I mean, how precautionary has this absence for him been?
Yeah, I think, you never want to rush a player like him back. And Tommy Lloyd and Koa, they're thinking about big picture here. They want to be playing the best basketball in the month of April rather than the month of February. So, when Koa Pete went down with that injury in that first half against Texas Tech, I think Arizona made the smart decision by not playing him the second half and then keeping him out for those few games. And then, I mean, you got to also give Tommy Lloyd and his staff a lot of credit, and the players too, because they've had to dig deep into their bag and bring in guys like C.D. Gay and Evan Nelson, guys that haven't really played much this year, and then they're asking to contribute 4 or 5 minutes a game. And then if you look at the most recent game against Baylor, yeah, those guys got in the game, but Arizona was really relying on a 6-man rotation. And if you were to tell me going into this stretch of games without Koa Pete that Arizona would be 3-0, I would say wishful thinking, but you know what? I give Arizona a lot of credit. And I know that the BYU Cougars, they were without Richie Saunders, which is, a big time loss for BYU, but that's still an impressive win for Arizona considering you're going up against, in my opinion, the best player in the league in AJ DeBonsa. So
yeah.
It's a really good stretch for Arizona, and I think that the last few games, it really says a lot about the Wildcats. And if you can play without Koa Pete and still be 3-0 and then bring them back in as if nothing changed, that says a lot about Arizona. And they've done it in multiple ways. They could beat you in high-scoring games. They could beat you in these rock fight type of games. And that game against Baylor, to me, will go down as one of the best wins of the season for Arizona, because if you think about it, I mean, that's usually the type of game over the years that Arizona loses. I go back to when Arizona was playing in the Pac-12, and that game against Baylor the other night, that reminded me so much of like an 8 p.m., 9 p.m. tip-off game against Oregon State in Corvallis, right? You're coming off a very emotional win over Houston, beating the number 2 ranked team in the country, a team that's had Arizona's number over the last few years. You're doing it without Koa Pete, and that was a very emotional win and a really good win for Tommy Lloyd. As a matter of fact, I probably think that's maybe Tommy Lloyd's best win ever at the University of Arizona.
Wow.
And then so you are coming off a very emotional win, and then Baylor, I mean, give them a lot of credit, man. They have some talent. I mean, they have maybe a couple of all Big 12 caliber guys, maybe guys are going to get drafted in the first round of this upcoming NBA draft. And they don't really have like that one marquee win. They might not even make the tournament, but I'm sure their season would be made if they beat a team like Arizona on their home floor. And so Baylor took it to them. I mean, Baylor was very active on the glass. They were, out physicaling Arizona there for a little bit in that first half, and then Arizona was able to turn it on in the second half and outlast Baylor. That is a very hungry Baylor team. That is a Baylor team that is so much better than their record suggests. And for Arizona to win a gritty game like that, I think that bodes well for them in the tournament, because you know what? You're going to get into those type of games. You're going to get into those games in the second round of the tournament where you're playing, against maybe a double-digit seed that is hungry, and you may not have your A game, but if you could still find ways to win, and despite leaving stuff on the table and despite not bringing your A game, I think that is a really good sign for Arizona to have a deep run in March.
Talking with Justin Spears from ESPN Tucson, covers Arizona for the Tucson Star. So the audio that we played from Tommy Lloyd, he was talking about how, we've kind of gone through it. Arizona winning 3 in a row after those back-to-back losses, but to already talk like Arizona's been through the toughest part when they still have Kansas and Iowa State coming up is crazy to me. So what do you think he means when he says that, hey, we've kind of come out of it now on the other side?
Well, I think maybe that's his way of saying, okay, now we are somewhat back to normal as far as our rotation goes, because Koa Pete probably going to be back very soon, whether it's this weekend or the next game on Monday against Iowa State. We'll see about Dwayne Aristode, but he's practicing. So I think, Tommy Lloyd's probably talking like, okay, we've gone through this stretch of games to where, we've had to use guys that we don't normally rely on. Now we're getting these two guys back. Yeah, we're going up against Kansas and Iowa State, but, we were right in the middle of this really hard stretch when we lost 2 players. And so Tommy Lloyd's like, okay, we're back to normal. Everything is back on track. And I think that's what he meant, because I think that this stretch of games right here, this is that last test before really, the Big 12 tournament is going to be another test too. But, the Big 12 from top to bottom is such a hard league to compete in. And if you can go in these true road environments and win those kind of games, that's a really good thing for Arizona. And Arizona, they have 2 tough games, but fortunately for the Wildcats, those 2 games are at McHale Center, and they normally play pretty damn good basketball whenever they're at McHale. So it's a tough 2-game stretch coming up, but Tommy Lloyd feels very confident that his team is back to normal, and they'll be back to looking like one of the most dominant teams in college basketball.
Yeah, so, okay, 2 straight losses. Obviously they have 2 losses on the season, so they're just terrible. But, is there anything to take away from those 2 losses in your opinion, or was it just like, yeah, you're going to lose games in college basketball in the Big 12?
Yeah, you're going to lose games
in
the Big 12. And it's so hard to win on the road. Like, I'm really curious to see the record of road teams in Big 12 play this year. And, the 2 losses that Arizona suffered, they were one of them at Kansas. And I know people are going to be like, well, KU was without Darren Peterson, the potential number 1 overall pick. But leading up to that game, Kansas had multiple games, where they were able to figure things out without Darren Peterson. And in that moment, Arizona was trying to figure out things without Koa Pete for the first time ever. So, and also the game was at Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and it was on Big Monday. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Bill Self is literally 5,000-0 on Big Monday. So, it's hard to win at that place on Big Monday without Koa Pete. And then, the game against Texas Tech, Texas Tech is a really good team. McCaslin's a really good coach, and they were also playing against the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year in JT Toppin, who unfortunately went down with a season-ending injury right after that. But they lost to 2 really good teams that are definitely more than capable of getting to the Elite Eight and Final Four. And if that's your only 2 losses, and shoot, we're not even talking about the wins, fellas. We're talking about wins over Florida, over UConn, Alabama, Auburn, UCLA, all of those wins in the Big 12. They swept BYU. So, tough losses. You could take a little bit from those losses, but I think, if you look at the overall body of work, I don't think anybody in college basketball has a better tournament resume than Arizona.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Completely agree. They're the number 1 team in the country, in our opinion. With that said, in Kansas City here in a couple of weeks, who's the one team, if you're Arizona, you don't want to see in the Big 12 tournament?
Ooh, man. I think, you know what? We might actually get a little preview of that coming up here on Monday. I think Iowa State is such a really good team. And, Iowa State, they're right there in the Midwest. I mean, Arizona fans are going to travel well, right? I mean, you hear it all the time whenever they go on the road. You can hear the U of A chants in the background.
Yeah.
But Iowa State, to me, they are a Final Four caliber team and a team that's really capable of getting a number one seed. So I'd probably say Iowa State. But then again, man, never count out Kelvin Sampson and those damn Cougars, man. I mean, it seems like Houston basketball is like kind of like what Utah football is. It's like their recruiting classes are not sexy. You're not sitting there like, ooh, X player, he's going to be this fantastic NBA guy. But yet it seems like they're always producing all-American type of players, guys that just fit Kelvin Sampson's system, and they do it so well, and they are so damn tough. So I'd probably say Houston and Iowa State, and I'd probably say those are probably my two teams that I'd say will give Arizona some of the biggest fits.
All right, man. Thanks for your time, Justin. We love it. Justin Spears, co-host of Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson, on the beat for Arizona for the Tucson Star. Great to see you, hear from you, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good one, guys.
Justin Spears joining us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Kansas and Arizona tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. That's the Arizona side. From your Kansas side, what's the number one thing that could dictate the outcome?
Well, I mean, the game at McAllen Center, right? I mean, this is, I think, what we're used to seeing in the Big 12, and that is, when you've got a home-and-home situation between two teams that, we're seeing, especially at the top 5 of this league, we're seeing splits. I mean, Kansas took care of business against Iowa State at home and then, got rolled by Iowa State at Hilton. And so Kansas took care of business against Arizona at home. And it's a great point by Justin. Everybody talked about no Derek Peterson in that game. It was sort of understated that there was no Koa Pete in that game. I think that was the first game he missed.
Yeah.
If he's back, it just adds more fuel to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't expect Kansas to win this game. These are two elite teams. Arizona, more elite than Kansas, but two elite teams nonetheless. And, I just don't expect them to get swept by Kansas in this season. It's a very difficult task, even if Peterson plays 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Peterson needs to go off for 40 if they have to have a shot this game, because they just need something crazy to happen. Because again, it just feels like it makes sense for these teams to split.
Well, and I love that was a 5-star comp from Justin Spears comparing Iowa State men's basketball to the way Utah football does things. They don't always have the 4-star, 5-star guys that, hey, he's going to be a one-and-done future 10-year guy in the league, but they just develop from within and they find 3 stars that turn into superstars.
Well, and great coaching and great defense. I mean, it's a great comp. You know what you're going to get. They're a great defensive team. They are very well coached. They maximize their talent. Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right, coming up next year on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, it is our almost daily now bracketology bubble watch segment. Evan Miyakawa from evanmia.com has underseeded teams that go further than anybody else and how to identify who those teams might be. Some Big 12 schools get a mention. And then Houston, what's their seed line look at after their recent slide? He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you by Modelo.